There we
Oh,
go.
man.
Yes. Well, okay, welcome. This is August 13th. Is it 13th? No. Yes,
Yes.
it is. August 13th. My, where is time gone? The year of 2023. I want to welcome everybody to both sides of the mic. Guest caller this week is Wendy Vandermeulen. And,
Band or
oops.
something, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm getting all sorts of things here now. Let's see. And then Carrie wants a couple other things. Where's Carrie's picture?
Right
Oh,
there.
there we are. And you want a multi-pin, right? Okay, there we go. Okay, think I got it all. So, yes, so we've got Wendy on. Wendy's from Ottawa. That's somewhere in Canada. Uh, okay,
Mhm.
we Dave knows where that is. Um, I'm having a little trouble with my voice. I've been I've been taking some inhalers. I'm going to quit doing that. Um, I sound like I'm whispering to me. So, um, as callers, it's funny how we can get behind the mic and you know do our thing with total confidence. However, we come to these interviews, even guys like Tony Oxidine and and, and Dave and Brian and whoever we've had on in the past, they mention the fact that they've been a little nervous about what's going to happen. Okay, and again, the idea being that we want to know about the person, both sides of the mic. We don't know everybody as a caller necessarily, so we're going to ask questions in that regard. But we also want to know something about like what do you do when you're not on the mic. So the first question I have for Wendy is, what would you rather be doing right now than this interview?
Right now,
Yeah.
uh, if I wasn't having this interview, I would probably be practicing my piano.
Uh,
I just like last week decided I got myself a keyboard or managed to get a keyboard. And so I've been practicing piano. So I'd probably be doing that.
Very good. Very good. We'll have to do a Zoom session. Everybody bring their keyboard and we'll and their ukulele and everything.
Here,
That'll,
we'll put a band together. There we go.
yeah, that ought to be fun.
Yeah.
Very good. So, did you
Oh,
did you
go
play a
ahead.
lot of keyboard before?
Never. Not before Monday.
Oh, so you're going to be taking lessons or just?
Well, at the moment, I've signed up for virtual,
Oh yeah,
practice stuff. So I'm just getting into that. Well, I'll do a bit of that before I get serious about lessons, but it's just getting used to keyboard and
yeah.
fingers stuff. So yeah.
Well, one of the questions on page 43 of my questions is, do you play an instrument? Do you play any other instrument?
I don't. It's the only
No,
one.
just the voice.
Yep.
So do you read music at all?
Uh, yeah, sort of.
Okay.
Like I can follow along. Like if I have the musical page, I can follow along in a song that I don't know because I can read the music. Yeah. I
Well,
suppose I would say yes. Yeah.
that's good. Sometimes that helps. Sometimes it doesn't. I'm always jealous of those people that can just sit down and play. They hear a song and boom, they can play
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. That would be.
I'm jealous of those people. I
Oh,
can
so you
do
have to.
some. I can do some of that, but my jingle bells turns into happy birthday after a while, and So, would you consider yourself an introvert or an extrovert,
Now an extrovert, sort of, mostly.
Mosey? Yes.
I I know you ask that for every caller. Most callers say, "Well, I'm an introvert." And I think I was before I started square dancing, but
Hmm.
I think square dancing helped bring me out of my shell and make me more extroverted. Although still, if I'm in a room of people that I don't know very well, it's hard for me to go up to just come up to someone and start a conversation.
Yeah.
So for that end, I'm still a little bit introverted, but for the most part, I would call myself an extrovert.
Yeah, I think that would be true of most callers, really. We've got to be extroverts to do what we do. However, like you say, walking into a room of strangers or even other people, you don't necessarily take over. You you just have to learn to ask certain questions. If nobody's talking to you, all you have to do is say, "So, how about the your kids? Tell me about your kids." And you don't have to say another word. They'll talk.
Okay. True. True.
Just look at the pictures, listen to the stories. So, what were you like in school?
Very quiet. As a matter of fact, yeah, I was the one that always sat in the back of the room and didn't just dreaded if the teacher was going to point me out, do anything. Yeah, I was, as a matter of fact, I was so quiet that I didn't forget what happened. Like, don't ask me too much about school because I don't remember.
Oh, gee. Well, is Vandermeulen your original name?
Yes, yes.
So yeah, so you would have been sitting near me in the back of the class because in our day we were seated alphabetically, right?
Okay, I don't remember ever. I was you could sit wherever you wanted to. I
Oh,
don't remember
really? Oh,
seated alphabetically. Yeah.
okay.
No, that would never happen, Joe, because Wendy is infinitely younger than you are. You wouldn't be in the same classroom.
No,
Describe that word infinitely. No, 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 no. Let's not go there. That's true.
You got to remember, Brian or Bill, whoever said that, that Joe was 22 years old in grade two.
Yeah. Hey, now this is Wendy's interview. Don't be telling my secrets. If you could change one thing in your life, what would that be?
oh, I don't know. I kind of like the way it's been going. I don't know what I would change. I really don't.
Good, good. Okay, because that leads me to the next question. Then, is the glass half full or half empty?
Doesn't matter how you look at it. There's room for more.
Absolutely. Okay. So optimist as opposed to pessimist.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Alrighty. So what's your take on our square dance activity? How it's going at this point?
It's stagnating. It's almost it. We're still rebuilding after COVID because numbers went down way down after COVID, and we're still rebuilding from that. Whether it's hard to say whether well, I don't like to be the pessimist and say it's going down and it's going to die. Um, I think that people just need to really try hard. We've had a couple of clubs in our area that have put in a ton of work in spending money advertising and getting out there to people and stuff like that, not just putting up a cheesy looking flyer, and hoping people come, like not a flyer that's geared to people that are already dancing, but something that looks really inviting to the public. So you got a couple of clubs that are working really hard at that, and they seem to be doing pretty well since COVID. We're hoping, of course, it stays that way. So I'm trying not to be pessimistic. I'm trying to be optimistic and think if people can just work really hard at that and quit asking just their friends, but getting out and asking different people
Mm-hmm.
to do that, find different ways to advertise. SSD is a great thing, I think. I think it's too bad that we had to implement it, but it's something that's at least it's getting dancers to think of something different and that there might be a way to rebuild, and anything that does that, I think, is a good thing.
Yeah, it's a bit difficult in the age bracket we're talking of. Uh, as we get older, we tend to resist too much change. We like things the way they were, and you know, we're asking them to change somewhat. But as a leader, it certainly is our job to try to promote what's going on. Um, I see it as the difference between when we were younger, we wanted the choreography. Oh, that was cool, Show us another one. Show us a new call. Do this, you know. Can you do scoop back upside down and twist it around? But what it really comes down to is it's got to be the entertainment part. It's the socializing. It's people want to get together, and I think COVID has given it sort of given us the opportunity to
Start it.
change.
Yeah, to
Yeah,
change. Right.
I'm seeing that the younger people, say 30 to 50, um, they want to get out. They want to socialize. They want to do things. They want people. Um, so
But
if
the
we can
thing is,
capitalize on that,
yeah, but we also have to remember that they still don't necessarily want lessons.
that's true. That's
The commitment to every week, like the fact that clubs seem to think that they have to have a class every week,
mhm.
2 hours. I think in some cases that, I mean, that's not a requirement. Like whoever decided that that's the way it had to be. Like, why can't it be every other week or 3 weeks a month? And then skip the one or two, depending on how many Thursdays there are on the month you dance, And so, or doing it once of, like I have a thing that I do once a month, and every time it's like an introduction to square dancing, and it's just a fun thing. Nobody has to think very hard, and if they like it enough, then eventually some of them will come and join the club and want to get more.
Yeah,
But in the meantime, it's just, just fun. And I consider them dancers. I've got some that come back regularly, and that's all they do once a month, do stars and promenades and Allemande lefts and right left
yeah,
grand. And that's about it.
and
So
yeah, they're very happy. I realized it doesn't take much. Maybe I'm too simple, but um, one time I was in Hawaii and they had advertised this Hawaiian hoedown, and I thought, whoa, I got to see what that's like. Went there, everybody in a big circle. We did left hand stars, right hand stars, swing your partner, circle left, circle right. That, you know, we did maybe 6 calls the whole night, and people were just having a ball, including me.
well, it's
So
so much. Square dancing is so much about the social thing of it. Like, um, some people say, oh, mainstream gets too easy, so they want to move on to plus, even if they don't really know their mainstream all that well. And they seem to forget the fact that you can have fun wherever you are if you're enjoying the people you're with.
yeah,
Right. And some people are forgetting that. Like there are still some that are so determined that they need to know more and more and more instead of just enjoying the being with the people. Like being with the people. Square dancers are fun people. And we can have a good time together just doing stars and promenades. And we have to
oh yeah,
forget sometimes, or that it doesn't need to be complicated to be fun.
no, not at all. It's a lot of smiling. We just got to get them smiling. But you're going to find what you want to find. For the doomsayers, it will always be a doomsday because that's the the attitude. So I like. I'm glad that I've had pretty much optimist the whole way here. People are doing things. It isn't. It isn't like they're trying to reinvent the wheel. They just get out there and do it.
And they're not giving up. We can never give up.
Yeah, yeah,
Because this
we,
thing about doing the same thing and getting the same result,
yeah,
like I don't believe that for a minute. Because if you're doing the same thing this year than you did last year, you're probably doing it with a totally different group of people, so you can get a totally different result.
absolutely, yeah. So you're not really doing the same thing.
Yeah,
That
not really.
No.
Not really, because it's a whole different, yeah.
Just,
So
well,
that doesn't hurt doing
yeah.
the same thing over again if you're dealing with different people and,
Yeah.
and
Well,
new
how long have you been calling, Wendy?
23 years.
23 years. And you probably would be able to say it's been 23 different years. Every beginner's class, every new group you call for,
Yeah.
it's different. It's because of
Because
people.
people are different.
Yeah.
People are different. The groups of people are different. So it's never going to be the same. It's never going to be the same.
One thing I always was curious about is how come some people who are um, quite intelligent can't seem to catch on. They have a hard time learning sort of thing, and yet there are other people who are um, well, how would you put it? To be politically correct, they're maybe not the brightest uh, marble in the group, and yet they catch on fine. And what
Well,
what
well,
on
it's
earth is it about it?
well, it's just like, I mean, there's some people that are great at math and there's some people that are great at art. Like not everybody can be great at the same thing. So you can be great at math and not be able to square dance. You can be great at art and be able to square dance, or vice versa. And same different people will look at those people both and say, boy, they're smart people. Look at the things they can do. But put them in
Hmm.
a square, and square dancing, just the way it is different. I remember one year we had a young couple show up at our club. This was quite a while ago. And it's like we were all excited. We've got this couple, they're only about 40, and the rest of the club is in their 60s. And it's like by Christmas, I was just as happy if they didn't come back.
Oh yeah,
Could not figure it out. So it's like, so age has nothing to do with it. What you do in your home life, in your business life, whatever, has nothing to do with it. It's just some people can do it and some people just never will.
mm,
And that's just the nature of the beast, I guess you can say. But
apparently
people
so.
don't know they can't do it until they try. So we want everybody to try it.
Yeah.
And that's where we find out who can do it. And yeah.
So what is your daily routine? I, perhaps it's different when you have a dance that night as opposed to when you have a free night.
Well, the routine's basically the same. Weekends, of course, are kind of different. Let's talk Monday to Friday. Monday to Friday, I get up at about 6:30, have breakfast. If the weather's good, I go for a walk. Anywhere from 8 to 12 kilometers, depending on how busy I think the day is going to be. Get home, have coffee. So by about 10:30 in the morning, I'm on the computer checking emails, dealing with whatever emails. Lunchtime is at 11:30. So by 12:30, I'm back on the computer. I have 3 bookkeeping clients, so I may do bookkeeping. I may be working on square dance stuff because I'm on 2 boards and 2 different committees. So there's sometimes work for that. Sometimes it's preparing a lesson. Sometimes it's playing my piano. Now that's thrown in the thing. Supper is at 4:30. And in the evening, if we're not dancing, then we watch an hour and a half of Netflix. And then after that, I am working on a cross stitch. So I'll spend an hour and a half on cross stitch and then read to bedtime. So that's a typical Monday to Friday. If we dance, then of course, then the Netflix and the cross stitch is out of the picture and it's going to the dance. So, but that's pretty much how, that's a pretty good Monday to Friday. That's pretty much how they work.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So what got you into square dancing?
I met this guy, showed up at work one day and found out he was a square dance caller. And I had no clue what he was talking about. Had never heard of it, had never seen it, had no idea. So it was like, well, club's doing a demo. Well, actually, he showed up at work, I think, in the winter, February. So we just talked about it, didn't know much about it. But summer came along and it was like, well, we're doing a demo in the park, the closest club that he called for. So why don't you come along? So I went to this demo in the park And I signed up for lessons, and that was September of 1983, and I've been dancing ever since.
Ah,
That's all it took. One little demo in the park and audience participation, and gone in the square and had a blast, and have been dancing ever since.
sounds like you're addicted.
Just a little, yeah. I'd say.
Very good. So you're a dancer. Why'd you bother becoming a caller?
Well, that's another fun little story. Um, my caller, my now caller husband, um, isn't very musical, doesn't sing very well, has a little difficulty carrying a tune sometimes, let's just say. He's great technically, but so many years ago, to back up a little bit, he bought himself a Jaguar car, dream car. He'd always wanted one, finally got down and bought one. Wouldn't you know it, a year or two later, he buys this singing call. I love you, honey. I love your money. I love your automobile. Well, he used that at club night one night. And as soon as that singing call was over, I went up to him and I said, next time you do that, let me sing the singing parts and you do the calling parts. Makes more sense. Then I can sing, I love you, honey. I love your money, but I love your automobile. So we started doing that. And so many people came up to me, you have such a nice voice. You should be a caller. I says, well, look at John. You don't need to be a call. You don't need a nice voice to be a caller. It's like, just because you have a nice voice doesn't make you a caller. So 3 or 4 years later, we were doing a callers workshop that we had set up. And so many people had said it to me at that time. I thought, okay, not only will I help John teach, I will sit in as a student and see what happens. And the rest is history, as they say. So just like the dance, the first time I did it, I loved it. I tried this calling thing, had a blast, did decently well. And so I've kept up with it ever since. So I danced for 16 years before I started to call.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you have a little bit of an idea as to what you were getting into.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So did you go to a caller school to start with, or how did that evolve?
Not to start with. I went to one after I'd been calling for, I don't know, details like this I never remember. I don't know, a few years. I went to one, and then subsequently have gone to several since then. But I didn't feel like I had to go to one before I could call. Besides, with my husband being a caller, and having danced for 16 years, having done a basic class with him every year for 16 years, I figured I had a pretty good idea of how things were working anyway. So, but I did do some caller schools after a while. So for sure. Highly recommend them. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, it's certainly a good way to start.
Well, sometimes I think it's good to work with a caller at home and get a little bit under your belt, because you go to a caller school and you're bombarded with so much that I've had some brand new people go to things like that and come away and swear they're never going to do it again, because it's just way too much for people who are just totally new. So it's good to just work with somebody at home for a little while and get a sort of an idea of what's going on before jumping into a very intense caller school. And they are intense.
Yeah, that's a whole other subject there, isn't it? Uh, Part of my caller schools many times has been the people that audit, their dancers who just want to see what goes on the other side of the mic. What's the thought process? And a number of them actually have become callers because there wasn't the pressure to start with. They didn't have to create anything at the caller school. All they had to do was listen, and it worked out fine. So that's a good point. Overkill. Was there How would your family and friends describe you if someone
Uh,
said, "What's Wendy really like?"
she's nice. I don't know. I don't know. My
Oh,
friends love me and my family, they're so scattered. It's like, well, I'm family, so we love each other, but how would they describe me?
yeah.
Mhm. I've never asked. I don't know.
You're
They're nice.
afraid. You're afraid, aren't you?
No, no, no.
She's crazy. No,
We're family and we get along. We never fight,
that's
you
good.
know. So it's like, yeah, we get along. We're family. That's
Oh, that's good.
most of my friends are most of my friends are square dance friends. I've got a few outside of square dancing, and we get along and have good times when we get together. But how would they describe me? She's nice.
Hmm.
She's cool. We like her. That's I don't need the detail.
No. Uh, well, I think you've already answered one of the questions too. Is you know, um, actually, when you decided to call, did you have a particular goal in mind? Did you think, I like teaching, I like doing the dances, I like doing festivals? Did you have a particular path in mind?
The only thing when I learned to call, the only thought in my mind was that it would be fun to do some dances with John from time to time. That was the beginning thing. That was the beginning thing. But and we've done some dances together, and they've been fun.
Hmm.
But then I started teaching, and I love teaching.
Ah,
So that's been more of my focus than anything has been teaching. Yeah.
well, that's good because we certainly need plenty of good teachers out there
Yeah.
getting those new people addicted. Um, is there a most important lesson that you've learned over your calling career?
I would say probably the most important one is that callers get bored with calling long before dancers get bored with dancing. Like callers think they need to add more, it needs to be more of this, it needs to be more of that, instead of just like we think the dancers that be surely by now they're getting totally bored of doing right hand stars and left hand stars and allemande lefts and weave the rings. But they're not. But they're not. And sometimes and I that's probably the biggest lesson. And it was hard to learn that. It was hard to learn that. And I was told once that, you've got to keep it simple for them, that callers get bored before the dancers do. So I have to remind myself of that every now and then. It's an
That's
important lesson, I think.
that's a good point. You're right about that. We get way too involved with the
We
choreography
do. We do.
for the or sometimes we get too involved. I think thinking we actually know how to sing well, and we think we're great performers. Uh, I think humility is something that we probably got to keep in mind.
Yeah.
Um, is there a particular myth about calling that you'd like to dispel?
But that it's more work than fun. If you're not having fun calling, you shouldn't be doing it. Like to me, I wouldn't be doing it if it was fun. Yeah, you have to put work into it, but it is not more work than fun. It's more fun than work.
Hmm.
And so I've had people, a couple of dancers in the area that I thought would make good callers, and of course we all need them.
Yeah,
And oh no, they don't want to work that hard. They just want to have the fun of dancing. And it's like, well, you know what? Calling can be fun too.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. I guess I was talking with one caller down in the states who does caller schools and mentors callers, and basically he said, I tell them right off the bat, if you're not willing to work, give it up. Uh, you know, the work does come before the fun, but I have a feeling that seeking the accomplishment. Uh,
Well, sure, you have to work at it. You have to work at anything if you want to be good at it,
mhm.
but not to the exclusion of, like, if it becomes so much work that it's not fun anymore,
Oh no.
then they won't stick with it. So they have to understand that there's a lot of fun in calling. And when you think about it, to me, like, the fun in calling is not so much the calling itself as being with the dancers. So just like dancing, you can do simple dances and have a lot of fun because the people are fun. So calling can be a lot of fun because the dancers are fun.
Hmm.
And you get this rapport with the dancers, and if they're having fun, you're having fun, which gives them more fun, which makes it more fun for you, and they have more fun. So, it's
Yeah,
never ending, right? So it's got to be fun. It's got to be
yeah,
fun.
yeah. There's no sense working, you know, not if you're not having fun. There's got to be a good result. That's for
That's
sure.
right. Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Um, what's the favorite thing? What is your favorite thing about what you do as a caller?
Teaching,
The teaching?
teaching new people, teaching new people. Having to see the light go on, the proverbial light goes on, when they
Oh,
get
yeah.
it. And at the end of the dance, when whether they've never done it before or whether you're teaching them something new, and they get it and they come up and they tell you how much fun it was to do that. Yeah, it was a lesson, but and when I do it with dancers with people who have never done it before and they come up to you afterwards, I had no idea it was so much fun. I says, we keep telling you that.
Yeah.
And yeah, now it's like, yeah, they had no clue it was going to be so much fun. Well, yeah, it is.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the part that always amazes me, you know. And that's the part that we've got to get. We've
Yeah,
just got to get them out for that one night.
yeah, and
And
that's the best feeling in the world is when dancers
yeah,
come up to you afterwards, especially people that have never done it before and come up to you and say it was so much fun.
yeah. It changed. Well, the thing is, it can change their life entirely too.
Yeah,
I mean, look at what it's done for your life. I mean,
yeah,
it's a totally different than it would be if you're, you know, just doing needlepoint all day, all night. You know,
get back to that real quick. Yeah,
you'd probably be blind by now. But what,
probably, probably.
if you could hold on to one memory from your life forever, and this could be either as a caller, as a kid, whatever. Do you have any special memories that are really, really keen?
Ooh. Um, Actually, it's not really a memory because I was too little, but I have a memory of a picture of, I grew up in Whitby, Ontario, which is right on Lake Ontario. And it must have been a family picnic or something, but there's a picture of my dad in the water holding me, and I must have been like 3 or 4. And there he is, big smile on his face with the current baby of the family, I guess. I don't know. There was one younger than me at the time, but and it's just, to me, it's like, it's such a nifty little picture. Like I say, I don't remember that, but just seeing the picture, it's like, to me, it's such a cool thing that happened. And it's, my dad, just the way he was holding me in the water, being very protective and stuff like that. I think
Hmm.
that was something that kind of cool.
Yeah, it sounds cool. You know, I'd like to give everybody right now a minute to think of Wendy at 3 years of age.
Show picture. Show you picture.
Get that picture in your mind.
Yeah,
Any of us, can think back to it. We had to be taken care of at one point. Hopefully now we're taking care of other people. In our square dance way.
And by the way, that was one of those questions that pop up, and it's like, what's the first thing that comes to mind? That was the first thing that came to mind. But the second thing that comes to mind is I come from a large family. Okay. I have 9 brothers and sisters. So for my mom and dad to go on vacation with the family,
Wow.
as families, we went camping. That's all they could afford. There's 12 of us, had a huge tent. And so I would have to say like that, those I have real memories of. And those were the days, my friend.
Yes.
Camping, sleeping in a tent, eating outside, swimming all day, playing in the sand. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's pretty.
that's good.
That was pretty special.
Very good. So, what's your biggest peeve about the square dance activity, or about calling, about dancing?
Pessimists. People who always gripe about what's not going right instead of talking about what could go right. Or what's going, they always, oh, it used to be like this. It used to be like this. We used to do it this way, and and all these things, and how it was, instead of, saying, well, what can we do? Whatever. Just trying to be more positive instead of being so negative.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very
I don't
big
have all
thing.
the answers, but being positive has got to be at least a step towards the right direction.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. How can we do it right, instead of complaining about everything that's wrong? You know, it's if it's wrong, it's going to stay wrong. It's wrong. It's in the past.
Yeah.
Let's do something good now. So what are you not very good at?
Fixing cars?
Have you had to do that lately?
No, thank goodness.
Oh,
My car's in the shop as we speak.
yeah. Uh, okay. Well,
You didn't put any parameters on that.
no,
so
no.
it's-
Yeah, and I realize that now. You could be a good politician. What are you not very good at? Well, I, I don't know how to feed elephants very well.
No,
Well,
that's easy. You just put peanuts in your hand.
yeah. Okay. Uh, whoops. Rachel is just joining us. Here we go.
No.
Um, I think we know what you do in your downtime to de-stress. Needlepoint probably is one of those things, right?
Needlepoint, reading, gardening.
Gardening, yeah.
Yeah.
Are you much of a adventurous type?
No,
No. So you would not be really close friends with Betsy Gata, right?
not really close friends. No, I mean, I'm well acquainted with her, but
Well, she was on recently, and I was very surprised to find out that she likes to do things like jump out of airplanes and
oh no,
do-
no,
oh yeah.
no.
So okay, so
Uh-uh.
I have a feeling Wendy will be around a good long time. Don't want to do those dangerous things.
No, not at all.
Do you have a hidden talent, one that people don't know about?
Oh, if I do it so hidden, I don't even know it.
Okay, maybe we should get John out here.
It's another one of those spur of the moment questions, Joe, that I might think of an answer 5 minutes down the.
That's
I think-
okay.
I think
Just
something. I'll let you know.
okay. Shoot it out when it happens. So, what's the title of your book?
Me.
That's it. That's good. I like that.
You know, I know you've asked that question to other people, so I've thought about that one a long time, and I
Did
thought
you? Yeah.
about like that. Like, Wendy, unabridged. No, that doesn't sound good. And I'd just call it me. I think I'd just call it me.
Yeah. I would have to think it would be something along the lines of Wendy, not your typical Peter Pan. Um,
You want to write a book about me, Joe?
I haven't finished my book yet. Uh,
No, I think the title would be something that would
that's
make people have to open it because it's not going to give them any hints about what it's going to be about.
yeah. No,
They're
I
just
like that one.
you have to read
Me,
it to find out.
me. Oh, lordy. Um, so another thing I asked is, have you got any embarrassing moments behind the mic?
And I would have to say pretty much no. The most embarrassing thing that ever happened to me is not even really terribly embarrassing because I went to one of my regular club dances way back when I had a square. So it was involved like 8 people. Got to the dance and found out I'd left my box of records at home.
Oh,
So I had no music. So one of my dancers had some CDs in his car, and we pulled out. So actually, the fact that I had a CD player, it must have been I left my CDs at home. That must have been the period of time when I was using a CD player. And but he went to his car and pulled what he had out of his glove box, and we found a couple of pieces of music that the rhythm was decent enough to dance to, and so we danced to like 1 or 2 pieces of music for 2 hours because that's all the music we had.
okay.
So that's like not terribly embarrassing, just a real nuisance, but that's and
It's something to be remembered for.
something
Yes.
that I've absolutely never forgotten that, and I've never forgotten my music since then either.
No, I had a friend that did the same thing. And I had my classes or dances had finished earlier, so I thought I'm going right by Ed's dance. I'm going to stop in. he, I never got such a warm welcome, and he said, "Did you bring your records?" I said, "Well, yeah, they're in the car." He said, "Can I borrow them?" Same thing. He left his home. Well, he had one record, the Beer Barrel Polka.
Oh, good heavens.
Let me tell you, there's at least 8 people in this world who hate the Beer Barrel Polka.
I'm sure.
Uh, let's see if we got some other questions here. Uh, Sometimes I ask, like, who are the people that you look up to in the calling world? Who, like, who are some of your favorite callers? I'm saying some because no matter what you do, you're going to be leaving somehow. We can't name them all, but right off the top of your head.
The first one that I can't even say, well, the first one that comes to my mind is Jerry's story. Because way back when, the first time I went to a caller lab meeting, and I'm not even sure I was calling at the time, I might have just been starting to call. And he was one of the big name people that I knew. And he, in the way I was thinking, he deigned to talk to me. It was like, there's Jerry and here's little old Wendy. And we had a wonderful conversation like we were best of friends. And that impressed me. And to me, that helped me at not be afraid of the callers that were up there so that I could approach them. And that was a real start to that. So I really appreciated you. And he never, I don't know if I ever told him of that,
Uh,
but that was, so I look up to him. Depending on what you call looking up to, like, well, let me mention another one. Someone who gave me good advice, a local caller who died a few years ago. His name was Paul Adams. He was a real encouragement to me when I started to call, and I looked up to him. To me, he of the callers that we had, there were 2 in our area that I thought were the best callers in our area, and he was one of the 2, and he was a real encouragement. So I looked up to him a lot. If looking up to a caller is some of your favorite callers that you love to dance to, Ted Lizotte, I think he's awesome. He's a super caller. He's a super guy. His choreo is great. He's fun to dance to. So I do look up to him a lot. I think Deborah Carroll Jones, because I think she has been a really leading force in women in calling. So that's a small handful
Mhm.
that I look up to a lot. Yeah.
Well, that gives us the idea of what you're looking for in in people as possible mentors and um,
So all of them, four totally
yeah.
different reasons for me for looking up to them. But I look up to all of them. Yeah.
hmm Yeah, I guess that's something for we have to try to be better at with new callers, and that's the idea that you know no matter how popular you might be, um, it's kind of like um, an analogy would be uh, as we get older and older, we don't feel older and older.
Right.
Um, the structure the structure wears out, but inside our head we're still 29.
Yeah.
And as callers, um, uh, I remember when I was first starting, and I mean, good grief, um, you you'd be afraid to talk to a Jack Lazary or a Lee Cotman at the time because they were this they were so good. But all you had to do was work with any of them once, and you realized they were totally accepting.
Yeah. They're they're people. They're
They're,
people just
yeah,
like we are. Yeah.
yeah, worked out just fine. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Anywhere in the world, where would it be? Well, with the crazy weather the world is having right now, and we're not having too much crazy stuff in Ontario, I think I'll stay where I am. I'd like to have riverfront property, but other than that, I kind of like where I am. I think I'll stay here.
Very good. About I have more criteria for mine. I want a mountain top with a lake and a forest, uh, and a lot of square dancers. A square dance hall out in the backyard.
Yeah.
Um, Anyhow, so let's go on to a few of these other things here. If you could have coffee with any historical figure, who might you choose?
Does it have to be coffee? No.
No, no, no. It doesn't have to. No.
I can have a chat with,
Could be
and
oil. Could be
that's an
wine.
interesting question. Yeah, because you've asked that one to other before, and I'd think about that. And
Okay.
I've recently been reading through the Bible, like a day at a time, sort of a reading thing. And two figures in the Bible who I find really fascinating that I would love to sit down and talk to are Abraham and Moses.
Ah,
I think they had some really interesting things going on in their life, and they had fascinating, uh, they had a fascinating life. I think it would be interesting to talk to them as historical figures. Yeah,
I'll see what I can do.
you do that. You do that.
Between myself and Dave, I think we both know those guys pretty well.
I knew you were old, Joe, but come on.
Well, I haven't been old all along.
No,
I
that's
woke
true.
up just one morning and it happened. Bam!
Okay.
I went from 29 to 109, just like that. So,
Time flies when you're having fun.
but I'm not going to catch up to Red Bates.
No,
I don't know if you know Red. Red must be
I know the name,
95
but
or
never
so.
met him. No.
He's still calling, as far as I know. Anyhow, that's not my goal in life. So other than the Bible, what kind of books do you like to read?
I like historical novels,
Yay!
and I like biographies. Those would
Yeah.
be the two. Those would be the two biggest two biggest. Yeah, fantasy's good from time to time, but historical novels and biography
Yeah.
is my main go-tos.
Yeah. I, I'm with you there.
Currently reading James Michener book called Mexico.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Interesting. That's good.
The only one he wrote that I didn't care about was sports. I forgot what it was called, Sports in America or something. And it was about sports. It wasn't a story at all. But
Yeah.
that's funny because I had his book Hawaii, and I started that many times. But after 50 pages of reading about the flora and the fauna, I would give up. I say,
Oh,
"Where's the story?" And then one time I had nothing else to read, so I persevered through, and that got me hooked. And I think
yeah.
I've read every one of his books. But
Several of his. Yeah.
fascinating, fascinating. Movie wise, Netflix. Again, you probably prefer to see historical.
We have Netflix. It's the only TV we generally watch. Like we don't have a TV. It's Netflix. It's computer. So Netflix is the only, basically our only option. Amazon Prime from time to time,
Mm.
but Netflix. So drama. That's
Yeah.
mostly what we watch. We're looking for drama.
You like comedy at all?
Not really.
No.
We find comedies. Most comedy things are stupid. They're not funny. They're stupid. So no.
It appears so many times.
What's so funny about that, Dave? Look at you. It is. The people that
Dave has no idea even what Netflix is. Don't go there.
Oh, okay.
He's trying to figure out what is that Netflix thing.
Okay.
We'll have him on again because we need to let him let it loose. This the monster within. That's the name of his book. The monster within. Yes. Okay. Favorite food?
Cheese.
Ah. Do you like grits?
I think I've had them once in my entire life. Does that answer the question?
Yes. Okay. Well, if anybody doesn't know about that, it's grits. Grits. They're like it's like bleached sand. It's a carrier. It soaks up things like egg yolks and gravy, but it's useless by itself. Anyhow, I shouldn't say that because it's
That's my recollection of it too. Yes.
yeah. I had a friend who was he was a square dancer and uh, he came up to an area where I was living at the time. He had a 6 week job with a company, and they would always stop at the same roadhouse for breakfast on the way to their job. And he'd always ask for grits. And of course, up north, New York State, they have no idea what grits are, unless you tell them it's whitewashed sand. So one day, uh, the guy's name was Dudley. Dudley was at my house. He says, "If you got some sticks, I want to borrow some sticks." I said, "If you borrow them, you can have them." So we cut some sticks off of the lilac bush, put them in a pot like they were a tree, a little tree in a pot. He took that into that roadhouse and he put it up on the counter, and the waitress said, "Now what is that?" He said, "This is a grits tree. You water that 7 days in a row, and you will grow grits. And finally, I can have my grits." Well, she believed him. So there's your grits.
Crazy.
So obviously, it's not coffee. You must like tea then, eh?
No, coffee's not a food. It's a drink.
Well, no, I'm going. We're moving on.
Oh, well then what's not coffee? You said obviously it's not coffee. It's tea.
Yeah. Well, the question is coffee or tea?
Oh, so you didn't ask that.
No.
Absolutely coffee. Absolutely coffee.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely. Yes.
But you don't want to have coffee when you talk to your historical figure,
Well,
Moses,
I
Abraham.
didn't think Abraham and Moses would even know what coffee was. That's why I thought if it had to be coffee, I'd have changed my answer.
Oh, I see. Jeez. Now, Wendy is getting quite complicated now. Uh,
Just answering the questions as they come.
okay, wine, beer, mixed drink, or abstain?
Wine,
Wine. White or red?
white,
White. Um, wet or dry?
dry,
Box or bottle?
bottle,
Um, fine old age wine, or it doesn't matter if it's
doesn't matter.
can come through a straw. It's okay.
That's it. Pretty
Yeah,
much, pretty much.
very good. What was your least favorite subject in school?
Geography.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So,
Didn't
okay.
care about the different kinds of rocks that were there. Not important. It's not important.
Yeah. Hmm.
Don't remember anything about geography class. It just did not compute. No.
Yeah. But they keep changing the names of these countries. That's not fair.
That too.
Okay, on the have you ever list, have you ever ridden a motorcycle,
No,
jumped out of a plane?
no,
Have you flown in a hot air balloon?
no,
Scuba dived?
nope,
Worked in a factory?
nope,
Pulled taffy?
nope.
Push goofy? No, 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 that's a different story. um, ridden a horse?
Yes.
Ah, much?
No.
Too many kids.
No, we had a friend who had offered a horse riding school, not a school. She would offer horse rides,
Hmm.
and so we did a couple of that. Like I could probably count on one hand the number of times I've ridden a horse. So, but she offered it, and so it was kind of a fun thing to do. So we did that 3 or 4 times, and after I'd done that 3 or 4 times, I was on a cruise once, and one of the excursions offered was horseback riding. So I did horseback riding on some island in the Caribbean somewhere. Don't even remember which one or where, but so
you
maybe 4 times. Maybe 4 times I've been on a horse. That's it.
you got to start taking notes. You're going to be like 90 or 100 and going like, who am I? Have I ever
No,
done?
I can't remember much of my first 65 years. I don't think it's really important to remember much of the second 65. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. Golly. Um, have you ever wished you were taller or shorter?
Both. Actually, there was when I was younger, I felt that like 5'10" was a little bit too tall. I should have been a little bit shorter. But then as I grew up and realized that tall is elegant, I wouldn't have minded being a little bit taller. But now I'm happy with what I am.
Are you as tall as you ever were?
Nope, I'm shorter than I ever was. I've had 2 hip replacements, so that took about an inch off my height.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So new hips are working out okay, huh?
So far, so far.
Hasn't impacted your calling. Okay.
Nope.
Well, the first time I remember hearing you, actually, it wasn't that long ago. It was at the National in Canada in Ottawa, and I think you were in the Plus Hall, and I think you opened up the Plus Hall one of the nights. And I was walking by on my way to wherever I had to go to, and you were doing all that jazz.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of my most favorite songs, and I owe that to you because I heard you doing it, and you had the floor from beat two. You had them on the ceiling with
Thank
that
you. That
song.
is fun. That is a fun one to do. It's a fun
Love it.
one to do.
Have you ever been ecstatically happy?
Most times.
Yeah.
Life's been good. I'm not a negative person, so yeah. The last time I was ecstatically happy was Thursday night. I had my summer mainstream workshop, and I had 12 people. So I did a 6-couple rectangle, which I do often, and I was citing it, and it was like at one point it's like I'm not going to get them back to their partner, and even when I do rectangles, I want to get them back to their partner in sequence.
Mhm.
And I was messing around, and it's all of a sudden like, oh, I just need to do this, and it's like I call with a headset.
Yep.
So it's like I got to the point, and it's like square through 3, pass through, and I literally jumped up and down and left their corner because I was so excited because I got. So that was Thursday night. Last time I was ecstatically happy. There you
Wow.
go. That was great fun, and they 6 rectangles are totally fun to call to.
Yeah.
And the callers, the dancers, especially when you get them back to their partner, and when they realize that you're really happy that it worked, then they just love it. So that was a lot of fun. That was very happy. That was a very happy moment.
Oh, that's great. So, is there anything that we have left out that we want to?
Trues, falses, and trues.
Yeah, have you got some of them?
I do.
Okay.
You know, we better do that because I thought so long and hard trying to come up with the fault. The true one was easy. The false ones are really hard.
Okay.
Okay, so these 3 statements: 1 is true, 2 are false. Have you ever heard of March of Dimes? Used to be a thing way back that when I was 14, I walked the 30 miles of March and Dimes. Thunder, you have to get sponsors for how far you walk. So I was 14, I did 30 miles. I sang the national anthem at the Ottawa Lynx baseball team, one of their games. I was invited. I went there with networking things, and I got invited to do the national anthem. And the third comment, that I was a contestant on a TV game show in my early 20s, something like that. Anyway, so those are the 3. I walked 30 miles when I was 14, sang the national anthem at a Ottawa Lynx baseball game, and I've been a contestant on a TV game show.
And only one of those is true?
Only one of those is true.
Okay.
So,
Okay, how many people think that
so for you people that don't have your video on, we can't see you raise your hand.
oh, that's right, yeah.
If you go on the bottom of your screen to reactions, and if we say, okay, so comment number 1, I walked 30 miles when I was 14. Do you believe that that is the true statement? Under reactions, raise your hand. One, two, three.
I got three that think that she's walked the 30 miles.
Okay, take your hand down. Okay, so how many people think it's that I sang the national anthem at a Ottawa Lynx baseball game? You believe that one's true? Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4,
5.
5. Okay, so last one then. How many believe I was a contestant on a TV game show? If you voted once before, you're not about to vote twice, eh? So 1, 2, Hannah. That's everybody. Has everybody voted? That's only 10 votes. We have 15 people. Okay, Joe, what are you voting for? Did you vote? You're muted.
I'm going to vote for the national anthem being true.
Was that everybody? Anybody? Okay. The March of Dimes thing, I was 14 years old. I think I made it to 20 miles. I'm not sure. And I was just about falling over dead. So no, I did not walk 30 miles. when I was 14. I would have loved to have sung the national anthem at an Ottawa Lynx baseball game, but no, I did not do that. Nobody there even knew I sang Happy Birthday ever. So, no. But I was a contestant on a TV game show back in the late 70s, early 80s. There was a game show based in Toronto. It was called Definition. It was kind of like a hangman sort of a thing, but you worked in teams. So I worked with the guy, I can't even remember his non-TV name, but do you remember the show? I think it was the Partridge Family, their music guy that got them the gigs. I think his name in the show was Reuben Kincaid. Anyway, he was my partner one time. And one time my partner was Barbara Eden, who was Bewitched.
Oh, yeah.
So I played a couple. I still have a set of dishes that I won playing that game that we used. I still have it. And that was
Barbara Eden was I Dream of Jeannie.
I Dream of Jeannie. Okay, I Dream of Jeannie. Okay, yeah, that was, but it was her. So I still have a set of dishes that we eat from regularly that I won at that game show. Anyway, so that's the true statement, is the contestant on game show.
Okay.
So that was fun.
Do you have any other of these?
Sorry, do I have any other what?
Do you have any other truth or lies?
No.
No.
It was hard enough coming up with those. I was actually, when I was going to use it, I tried out for the National Arts Center choir one year, but I didn't make it. I really would have loved to have done that. I didn't make that. So that was another one that was going to be a true, but
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
Very good. I think everybody should try to make up those kind of questions and for themselves. It makes you have to think really hard.
Sure does. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that have you made any singing calls?
6. I've done 6 things. I've done yeah, I'm a recording artist. I did 5 with the Sharpshooter and 1 with Hipster.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't done any for a few years, but yeah, I have 6 that are done. With Hipster, it's I Lived, which was a song by Bryan Adams. And with Sharpshooter, I did Honey, I'm Good, which is one of their top selling singing calls, actually. I did Heaven by Bryan Adams. I did Thumbs, which was a Sabrina Carpenter song. I did Love the Way You Love Me, which was it was not very well known, but I heard it on the radio once and I thought that was pretty cool. That's 5. What was the other one? Cheerleader by Omi. That one also did pretty well on the. So Honey, I'm Good was by far the best selling of the ones that I've done.
Aha.
Matter of fact, one year I went to Caller Lab and I got in the elevator and I didn't have my name tag on yet, but somebody was there and I says, you're here for Caller Lab? She says, yeah. And I says, I'm Wendy Vandermeulen. And she said, oh, you did Honey, I'm Good. I'm so happy to meet you. That was, thank you. That was really exciting. It was very exciting for me. Yeah.
Yep. That's how newer callers look upon recording artists and people who have done my interviews. Say, I saw you on that silly show.
Honey, I'm Good is still a good one that I finish dances with because people sing it for days afterwards. Give an earworm. I like to do that.
That's good. I'll have to make that one of my questions. What songs are your earworms? I wish I wasn't asking what Meyer Wiener is one.
Yeah, I have that one. I don't use it. I only use that when I've got kids on.
I don't even like to say the words because then that melody just is stuck in my head. But so let's open it up to our visitors today. Anybody got a question for Wendy?
Not a question. Just want to say the actor you were thinking of, his name is Dave Madden.
Dave Madden, thank you. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Bill.
Google's
Okay.
Google's a wonderful thing.
It is, absolutely.
So I got to go soon, Joe, because I'm on with Dave in a little while. But I have 3 questions for Wendy, and I'm going to ask them all at once. And I'm also going to give 2 comments, but and you can answer them as you feel fit. Okay. Question number 1: committees. Joe touched on it, but you have been on every committee I can imagine. Everything from the Canadian National Square Dance Committee, organizing committee, to Collar Lab, which you're now on. Do you ever get tired of it? Because you are very much like always on a committee. Do you ever get tired of doing committees? Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, I've noticed, like, from your career going on, you talked about Collars schools that you attended, and then you have now gone on to become a Collars coach. Has there ever been anybody that you've actually had to turn to and say, maybe it's not for you? Okay, that's number 2. And number 3, and probably most important, you are now the president of the Ottawa Area College Association. Are you and John going, well, John is, but are you and John going to paint your house white? Those are my questions.
We'll start at the bottom. Why would we paint our house white? And no, we wouldn't anyway. And I'm not sure what that question is even supposed to mean.
Because you're the president. That's a White House. I'm kidding, of course.
John's the president. I'm the treasurer. No.
Okay.
No.
Anyway, Collars coach.
Collars coach. I haven't done enough of that yet to really to say to anybody.
No.
And I've only been an assistant. I'm not officially a coach. I've only been an assistant, so I haven't even done enough of that to be at the point where I need to say to anything to anybody. So no.
Right.
Tired of committees? No. I get tired sometime, and it's like I've got to give something up, and I don't know what to give up because I like everything that I do. So I keep doing it and keep getting tired. And a few weeks go by and it's like, oh darn it, I haven't done anything for this committee, and then I'll spend several hours on working on that committee, and then a few weeks later, darn it, I haven't done anything for this committee, and I'll spend. But no, I don't get tired of it. No.
Okay. Anyway, and my 2 comments. Number 1 is, did you know I grew up in Whitby as well?
I knew. Yeah, I knew you're from that area. Yeah, I knew. Yeah.
I grew up in Whitby. And number 2 is Wendy Unabridged. I'm really glad you did not choose that.
Okay. Don't take it.
Anybody else got anything to ask Wendy? She'll answer every question.
So I don't want to burst Wendy's bubble about the Jerry Story thing. But I found out after my first attending Collar Lab that what happens when you're a new attendee at Collar Lab is they give you a special ribbon that you wear that tells people that you're a new attendee, and the Board of Governors members are essentially told that they need to search out those ribbons and make those people feel welcome at the convention. And and I found that out by talking to who was it? It was Vernon Jones. He walked up to me. He didn't know me from Adam, but he walked up and we had a nice conversation, and he was great. But then he explained to me that the Board of Governor members are supposed to do that.
Well, I would have to look back and even try to remember, because like I did mention too that I wasn't sure if it was before I was a caller or not. When I went to Collar Lab, I was on the board of Legacy. You remember Legacy? It's now the Arts.
No.
It's now
No.
the
Oh,
Arts.
okay. Yep.
Legacy morphed into the Arts. I was on the board of Legacy, and I would have to look up. I'm not sure that I was calling at the time.
But was it your first time attending?
Yeah, but they don't. They get new caller. We get
No, you get a ribbon that says first time attendee.
I don't remember that, but anyway,
Yeah.
it's possible. I don't
Do I?
remember.
And they treat those people really nice, and I do appreciate it. It's a wonderful thing that they do, and pretty much all of the Board of Governor members wander around and they search for people who are new attendees, and they make them feel very welcome, which is funny enough something that callers do at square dances for people, which is something we're supposed to do. So yes, I find it's a very interesting way that they do that, and also nice because they're also, most of the Board of Governor members are the most popular callers on the planet. So it does make you feel really good talking to them.
It certainly did for me, for sure.
Okay, well, I think we've scared everybody out.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah.
No, that's great.
Yeah, I have that effect when I start talking. I get it.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, Brian.
No problem. Anyhow, I want to thank Wendy for agreeing to be on the hot seat this week.
Thank you for having me, Joe. Appreciate it.
Well,
I was flattered when you asked me.
well, I like to get people on that have made a certain amount of contribution to our activity, and especially in a positive way. You know,
And Dave's not on the screen now, but I'll have to say I'm sorry that he didn't walk away with any of my choreography, as he mentioned earlier on.
no, he probably has that in a special book. Anyhow, yeah, well, back to thanking you for coming on. That was good. Or
And thank
caller.
everybody who came and listened. I appreciate
Yes,
that.
yes. Like I mentioned earlier, it might have been before we started the Zoom thing. It's different being live than it is watching it when it's in the can, because you can participate. You can click on and make a comment and whatever. Plus, you can pin people. You can see what's in their back, and like what's in Liz's. I'm just gonna check this out here. Now I don't know if this goes on to the. Here's Liz's. Is it clean, Liz?
I don't want any evidence. You stopped recording. You stopped recording, right?
No, I didn't. I haven't.
Hey,
Well, you should stop that.
hey Wendy, Dave is back. You can complain about his thing at the beginning.
Yeah.
Not a complaint, Dave. I was just saying that I'm sorry that I didn't give you any choreography that you could write down in your notebook there.
No, that's okay. I'll make do. Anyway, thanks so much, Wendy. Really enjoyed the interview. Thanks, Joe, but I have to go because I got a Zoom dance with Dave tonight. So talk to you later, but thank you so much. It was
Thanks,
great.
Dave.
Thanks
See
for
you later.
joining us. That's great.
Yes, thank you, Wendy. You have some really good ideas. The once a month, I thought that was pretty good, but all rental and everything, it can be quite difficult to make that work unless they're willing to put some money out.
Yeah. Callers have to be willing to put money out, or somebody, callers or clubs. have
Yeah,
to be willing
clubs. Yeah, some have money.
to- Absolutely.
And thank you very much. It was really interesting.